what motivates me is helping people find meaning in their lives. And in prison, for example, I would say most people find meaning through two things: religion or education. And as an educator, that was going to be my thing, where I wanted to make an impact. I read Man's Search for Meaning, Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning, when I was in my early 20s, and just had this huge fundamental impact on me. And from that grew this belief that you could find meaning no matter where you reside. And that included, Auschwitz and even prison. And so I wanted to help people do that. And I wanted to help people, I'd want to self-actualize and become all that they could be. And they were in environments where that wasn't possible. And so that became my goal. You can change the world right here from Tennessee by taking action. And you find a cause that you care about. And I think you need to decide, do you want to be a check writer, or do you want, which there's nothing wrong. I mean, nonprofits need money to do their programming. Or do you want to be doing really tangible work on the ground? And so, once you do that, if you want to get that involved, you find that area that you're passionate about and you research it and you make calls and you volunteer or you try to get a job with that. I also want to say that, there was a former student I had when I was working in the prisons, and let's call him David. And he's like a 240-year sentence or something crazy. I met him when he had just been locked up. And he has his degree now, and he has started a mentorship program in the prison. And I mean, there's 2,400 people at the Turney Center Industrial Complex. So it's its own community there. And so he is mentoring the young men that are there. And so even from prison, you can change the world. It's important for people to know the Universal Declaration of Human Rights because it codifies the way that we should treat people and the inalienable human rights that we're all born with. And, for me, it was that everybody had right to education, no matter where they were. But also it legitimizes, it's a legal document, really, that lays out the guidelines for how human beings should be treated. And I can't remember the specific articles, but one, for example, is about slavery. And in the prisons, it's essentially slave labor. Those that are incarcerated make 19 cents an hour. I mean, that's slave labor. So it points out those things that if you look at the Declaration, that's not in alignment. And you can use that document to say, hey, this is not what's agreed upon. And it can help, inform actions. It clearly doesn't always work, but it's this universal document agreed upon by, hundreds of nations. And it is something that finally in writing provides guidelines and gives you justification to stand up and say, hey, this is in alignment with that. I recommend you finding the problem that impassions you and researching it, learning everything that you can about it and see what's happening in other places with that problem. And I'm really big on the research and calling people. I just pick up the phone. And when I wanted to make an impact in the prisons, for example, I found an area where there wasn't much going on. I mean, it was 2009, and we were just warehousing human beings. And I felt really drawn to do work there, but I just cold called the director of education for the Tennessee Department of Correction and she shared the vision. And then I called the president of Nashville State, and he shared the vision. And so it's just taking action. I think in this scenario, it's deciding, do I want to make a difference by helping with funding, by sitting on the board of directors, or by volunteering, or by working in that area? So decide that. But at the end of the day, I think contacting organizations that are doing that work is a first step.